Do you feel happy anticipation at the thought of getting together with your parents? Or do you feel uneasy and drained just thinking about a visit? If you find yourself choosing the latter, you may have a toxic parent. Now, the occasional upset or conflict with your parent is totally normal. Edging to the realm of a toxic parent is far more than the rare shouting match. It's true that we've had previous specific pieces on toxic parenting, such as between mother or father and daughter and father, or mother with son. Here, we're aiming to present the commonalities between all of them for the general parent to the offspring relationship, raising awareness of the issue. Here are the most common signs that could signal that you have a toxic parent. 1. They're self-centered. They'll say they love you, yet it's always their wants, needs, and emotions that take first and full priority, no matter how it hurts you. 2. They're not empathetic or sympathetic. Toxic parents don't show any remorse over the pain they've caused you, nor empathy when you're hurting. You're not viewed as important enough to ask anything about, meaning your day, what you like, or even your opinion. 3. They're rude and disrespectful. This isn't the same as being blunt, or to be confused with raw honesty. We mean they couldn't even be bothered to treat you with any decency or basic courtesy. They don't thank you for anything, even if you put in massive effort. Any suggestion you make may be responded to with mockery. You feel a little less human around them. 4. They overstep your boundaries. We've spoken about boundaries and how they're important. These types of parents will intrude on all of your personal space, despite you asking them not to. They treat access to your privacy as their right, freely rifling through your things like your drawers or maybe even your phone. 5. They're overly demanding. Overly demanding is a constant overload from your parents of nothing being quite enough, and palpable dissatisfaction at the perceived lack. You can't just shoot for the stars. You have to own the universe, and you'd better comply without any argument. Demand, demand, demand. Take, take, take. 6. They belittle you. We were all children once, depending on our parents to make decisions like not having candies for breakfast. The point of growing up, though, is that you grow up and form your own agency. When your parents continue to treat you like an infant, believing they have to do all the thinking for you and ignoring what you have to say and all of your opinions are a joke to them, that's toxic. And 7, they control and or dominate you. Controlling, dominating, and overbearing. This is the worst possible recipe that results in the being known as the smother. This toxic parent micromanages your life and ensures that you do exactly as they tell you. They might even force compliance by bribing or threat of punishment. This dominating behavior is to foster feelings of smallness or being lesser, so that you feel like you have no choice but to listen to them. It's common sense to distance yourself from toxic people, but what if those toxic people are your parents? When you see them every day, it can be extremely difficult to get any kind of break. Even though you may not have had a choice to be brought up by the parents you have, you do have a choice in how you choose to react towards them. So, here are 6 more common signs that could signal that you have a toxic parent. 1. They're manipulative. Toxic parents are masters of emotional manipulation. They have a way of twisting the truth so they look good while you look and feel awful. This can range from embellishment of a tale, outright putting words in your mouth, to even exposing a secret of yours. They may also make false promises to get what they want out of you. This manipulation also allows them to exploit you, as their love only extends as far as your usefulness, like a tool. Once you no longer provide a use, they stop putting in the effort of appearing to care. You may stand up for yourself to stop the manipulation, but then they might take you for a ride on the guilt trip train, telling you you're a bad or ungrateful son or daughter for abandoning them. In reality, they're just angry that they weren't able to take advantage of you. 2. They blame you. Some parents are so toxically irresponsible that they blame their children for everything that they perceive has gone wrong in their lives. They then use this as an excuse to lash out at you for things that aren't your fault. They didn't get the career they wanted? Well, that's because you were born. They're fighting with their spouse, maybe a divorce is imminent? Well, it's because they can't agree on how to raise you. You're such a problem. Did they lose their favorite pen? Well, you must have stolen it. You can see how ridiculous and toxic it gets. 3. They actively block you being happy. Don't take this the wrong way. Sometimes they're just guiding you onto a more annoying but sustainable, productive path. That's not toxic or bad. With the toxic parent, this manifests as them ensuring you're always miserable if they can help it. This happiness blocker doesn't have to stem from severe situations like abandonment or beating. Just them putting a damper on everything is enough. If you dread seeing them or sharing any happy news with them because you know they'll just stomp on it, then you understand this is toxic behavior. 4. They're unstable. Instability in most situations is not positive. Toxic parents are no different. These parents may have weak boundaries of their own, lacking the capacity to stand their ground in several aspects of their lives or give guidance to the child. This results in waves of lashing out at the child for problems stemming from the parents' overly permissive habits. They let the child do whatever they want, then explode in anger when it becomes problematic. 5. They're overly critical and mean. Imagine, you feel good about finishing a paper. The toxic parent's response to you is to see a small error, so it's terrible. You start over, double-checking for tiny errors, and now they tell you, the paper you used is not white enough. Why did you change it? It's garbage. The critique given is also usually not constructive. Quite often, they'll also be mean about the perceived failure, preying on insecurities, calling you names or highlighting your flaws to prove you're not good enough. Watch out for this red flag. If it feels like you're facing a nerve-ending staircase and are still being called a failure despite climbing several steps, you may have a toxic parent. And 6, they're severely abusive. Here is the most blatant and obvious sign of toxic parenting. When a parent, these people whose very roles are to nurture, support, and guide you, when they abuse you, they're toxic. The abuse can be physical, verbal, or emotional. It's all unhealthy and toxic, and you don't deserve that. Do you relate to or recognize any of these behaviors? Do you see or observe them in other situations? We know they're your parents, and from that status alone, you may feel they get a pass and forgive them, maybe change them, or even start over. Those of us with toxic parents have been there. We get it. Keeping a toxic parent in your life keeps your mental health at risk, possibly leaving permanent scars. You're not required to sacrifice your well-being for them. We know, as should you, that you deserve decent, respectful treatment. You're not to blame for their problematic behaviors, nor is it your responsibility or ability to change how they think or behave. We can only control how we react and change ourselves. Now, go remind yourself how awesome you are, and we'll see you next time.